Yeah, I'm going to ask you one of my last questions here. Giles brought this up in the interview, and I agreed with him because I could point this out about some other bands, but we were talking about, we were talking about similar, it's a similar conversation that we just had here, where we talked about how certain members of a band may be missing, but is the music good, et cetera, et cetera. But the one thing he said about you was that if the band didn't have you as the drummer, it would completely change the sound. And I agree with him because I bring that same thing up with Slayer. With when they took Dave Lombardo out of the band, even though Paul Bostap's a great drummer, yeah, it just completely changed the band's sound. And I've always said that drummers and bands can really dictate how a band sounds. And to that you say what?
Well, I agree. Yeah, a couple reasons. I mean, you could kind of, if you want to really A/B it, if you listen to the Lordy and Guard stuff with the drum machine,
Mm-hmm.
it becomes real obvious. Okay. But it kind of goes back to my whole thing when I started playing the drums when I was 7 is I wanted to be, and I didn't know him at the time, but I wanted to be Eddie Van Halen of the drums. I wanted to be known, not just a guy playing in a cover band, not a guy going boom tap. I wanted to be a rock star. I wanted the limelight. I wasn't going to be playing blazing solos, but I wanted to have a certain style. And
Yeah.
I worked, and I studied different things, and just to have like my style. So that number one comes into play. Number two, what really came into play is Bill and I for a couple of years, just him and I in a warehouse in San Jose, banging out songs. When you're playing just with a guitar player, as a drummer, you can start kind of, getting a little adventuresome because you're not worried about the bass player and the keyboard player. And we started working stuff out, and that was probably one of the first times that I've ever played where it really opened up my playing, and I could kind of just play what I heard or play to him. If you listen to a lot of the Warlord stuff, you'll hear interplay between the drums and the guitar, whether it's little lead lines and we play them together kind of thing,
Yeah.
or whatever. That's by design, okay? And that was just the Warlord style, and it was my style adapting it to Bill. He wasn't really adapting his style to me because he was writing the majority of it. But yes, very much so. Drummers, I think, can definitely, change things around. I think you could, if they're playing around with that idea of Rush going back out again, even if you got a guy who can play it note for note for note, it's
Mm-hmm.
just not going to be, especially a band like that was so specialized with 3 different guys. Obviously, there's bands in history that have proven it doesn't matter who the drummer is. You're
Yeah.
fine. But no, I definitely I appreciate Giles saying that, and because a lot of he stood up when we first started doing this, and he was trying to explain to people that Mark's kind of part of the sound too. Okay, this
Yeah.
isn't Mark's kind of part of this too. So, and he's still here. So, but no, I appreciate the nice words.
Yeah, and I agree with him because there are certain bands that when you take the drummer out of the equation that was there, like I'll give you an example. I think, and I'm saying this changed. And what I'm going to say is I'm saying this. I think it changed it for the better. I think when you joined Fate's Warning, a lot of that sound, a lot of your style really helped change that band. And I like the era that you played in is probably my favorite era of that band. Even though I love the last, like I said, even though I like a lot of the albums, the later albums and stuff, but when you played in that band, I really thought that, you really brought something different to that band sound. And that's my opinion anyway.
No, no, I know what you're saying. It's interesting because when Jim contacted me to play in the band, I told him flat out, I go, if you guys are doing that no exit kind of thing and, kind of a little thrashy or whatever you want to call it, I go, I'm not your guy. I go, that's not really what I'm into. He goes, oh, no, no, no. We're looking to change of a different direction, but we just don't think our current drummer can go with us to that thing. And I guess at the time they were having Steve do demos of the same songs that I was doing, like working on and stuff like that. I do think the one thing that I brought to that band, besides anything else, and I'm kind of proud of it, is that era that you're talking about. I think it has groove and pocket,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's, even though it might be odd time or whatever, all the stuff that I played on, I feel that I was kind of driving the bus as far as kind of maneuvering where we were going, and I was there for everybody to lay back onto as
Yeah.
well. It wasn't like it was like rats in the cupboard and like what the hell's the drummer doing? Like what's
Yeah.
going on? I was never crazy fill guy. It was more about cool patterns that everybody could lock into. I was never a big kind of guy. I mean, when you play a four-piece kit, it gets a little tough to do that. But no, I just really thought my mark on that whole band was about the pocket and the groove, and that people could get it. They, even though it might have been odd time, because I was kind of famous for taking two fives and making it a 10, or taking two sevens and making it a 14, which you could play a groove to, and
Yeah.
it worked out well. You know.
Yeah. And again, my first, I think Parallels
Hmm.
was the album that really, like, I've liked Fate's Warning over the years, but I think Parallels was definitely the album that really got me hooked on them. I mean, that's kind of how that worked for me. And then obviously I ended up getting into the band, quite a bit after that. I mean, there were some great songs. I thought Disconnected was a good album. Um, Inside Out was good. Pleasant Shade of Gray I thought was great. And actually, Pleasant Shade of Gray was actually when I started my radio show, was the album that came out. It came out right around that time, and Metal Blade was really kind of hammering me about Fate's Warning. And that's because I kind of felt I really didn't listen to him as much in the 90s after Parallels. I mean, I listened to a couple albums, but I ended up getting back into the band when that album came out. So
Yeah,
but
that was a good one. That was a good one.
and it's just like, that is the era that I've liked, even though I love the last album they put out, right? The last couple records, I think they're great. But what got me into them as more of this like hardcore Fates Warning fan was Parallels. That was like the album. Like, you always have that one album that makes you a fan of a band, and that's the one that got me into them, where I really got deep into that band's music.
Yeah, that was a great record. That was a coulda, shoulda, woulda record. There's no reason that didn't explode just like Queensryche exploded
Mhm.
at that time. I mean, except for the fact that we weren't on a major label, but it had the songs, Eye to Eye. It had the songs. There's no question about it. That was a great record.
Well, hey man, I got to tell you, I'm really looking forward to what's in store for you with Warlord. I think that this is going to be a great thing. I think playing more shows than what the band really had played over the course of time, I think is going to be great. It's going to bring that music out, and I really think this is going to be a great thing to keep Bill's work alive, in my opinion. And
Absolutely, I
and I'm
agree.
I'm really looking forward to this coming up, man. Any last words to say to any fans or anything that are going to be checking this out?
We'll be out there. I guarantee you. I can't guarantee the weather, but I can guarantee the band is going to be very tight, and we will sound like the record. I can guarantee you that.
That's great, man. Well, hey, I thank you for coming on. Seriously.
Oh, my pleasure, Tony. Always, man. Always.